This week on The Grit Crusade.
That's really how I ended up on what we'll say is on my own and more of an entrepreneurial world, because I left comfort for discomfort. I left known for unknown. And that's hard to do, but once you've done it, you can repeat that if you choose to,
Hey, Grit Crusaders. Welcome to the Grit Crusade podcast. I'm so excited to have a special guest on the podcast with me today. It's been several solo episodes, and so I'm so excited to introduce you guys to Heidi Weber. Yay! You'll also notice that we are on a new remote platform working with Clanton Creative, so I'm super excited about partnering with them for the podcast. So, Heidi, I will give you the floor, or the mic, I guess. Yeah, it's usually the floor, but the mic. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Brooke, so much for having me. I'm super excited. I really enjoy the opportunity to have time to speak with like-minded people. So this is great. And what a great way to wrap up the week, but to have some awesome conversation about all the things that we do and love. So a little bit about myself. So I am currently doing a bazillion things. So let me see what
All the things.
I'm
Well,
like,
we initially know each other from the cheer world, right?
there you
But then we
go.
didn't really connect in the cheer world. We
Yeah,
connected over your conference. And so you've
right.
got all these like
Yeah.
stakes in the fire, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yes, cheerleading is my everyday gig. So, currently running an organization called the Open Championship Series, and it's a wonderful organization in the All Star cheerleading community that puts on some end of season events, including what is currently the largest All Star cheerleading championship in the world, which is very exciting.
Yay. Yes,
So
it is.
Yes, very proud of that. It really exciting to be also a female in leadership in a very predominant female sport. So it's a wonderful.
Right,
Um,
because your partners in the open are men, right?
yes, in the ownership group,
Yes.
yes, I'm the only female, and so I also
Whoop,
serve as
whoop.
the. I know, right? And I also serve as the executive director of operations on the day to day. So it's been really great to be able to kind of have the opportunity to service our sport as a female and have that additional perspective. So that's been really
Yeah.
cool. So that's kind of my daytime job, I guess, if you want to put it that
Yeah.
way, is cheerleading and cheerleading competitions. And you obviously know all of the things we do, but for your listeners that maybe aren't from the All Star
Yeah.
cheerleading
Yeah, for
community,
sure.
running competitive cheerleading events, it's not what you may have known from your Friday Night Lights. So it's definitely a very active, big, beautiful, sparkly
Well, you're
community.
securing venues, you're booking vendors, you're like having to do contracts, like marketing, and then on top of that, the craziness of gym owners and,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all the navigating all the customer relationships. And like, it's just a huge, big beast that's year round,
yeah. It definitely
like it
is.
really,
It really is, and I'm sure most people can relate to in the youth sports community across the board. We just live in a
right.
time now where youth sports is massive, whether it's
Yeah.
basketball or cheerleading or hockey or football. It doesn't really matter. The youth sport market is humongous, and so
Right.
being a part of that is really exciting. And being able to kind of positively affect the youth of our country. And actually, with the Open Championship Series, we're international, so we have the opportunity to work with people from all over the world. So it's just been great. It's been wonderful. But when you really like scale it back and bring it down, it's event planning and relationships. That's what it really
Yeah.
comes to. So
And then we connected over your newest project,
yes, yes.
which
So
is the Not Your Mama's Conference. And
that's
so
right.
tell us a little bit about for the listeners that don't know, if they follow me on social media, they've probably seen my dozens of posts and all the things I've shared because I was a part of that conference last year. But my favorite part of the conference is your why, about
Yeah,
why you ever wanted to start something that
sure.
didn't have to do with cheerleading, that was totally women focused, that wasn't faith based, that wasn't work based, that was just
Right.
about the girls.
Yeah. And it's funny because, for me, it was this like organic thing that happened, and the story's kind of silly, but truth be told, I was actually on vacation and I was sitting in a bathtub, which is like one of my most favorite things ever to do, is like sit in the bathtub. And I just had this kind of like moment, and I think we've all experienced this at some point in our life. I just had this like kind of very real moment where you like almost like internally know something is like really valuable and important, and it's like this like little pop-up thing of this Not Your Mama's conference kind of came to me, and it was to bring a conference for women of all ages where they could just kind of come as they were and enjoy all of the things that women enjoy, whether it was relational or chocolate or booze or tacos or
Yeah.
interaction with one another, or like at our first conference, last fall, a hip hop class, and just fun interactive
Massages.
massages. Yes, yes, yes. But no real, it's funny, there is absolutely like opportunity to find things within yourself that you're going to like identify with, and even hopefully come out after the conference feeling like a change, or some type of little blurb of a spark has happened, but not formatted to push that, like not a work related or a faith based. So not coming to read the 10 steps of how to be better, or put this in your life and you'll lose weight, or like none of that. And there's nothing wrong with those things, but those things already exist. They're already effectively in the community. You can go to
Right.
any
Yeah.
Target or Barnes and Noble, and there's section upon section of self-help books and concepts and all that, and podcasts and all these things. But this was not to be that. It was very strongly, impressed upon me in that moment that this was not what this was supposed to be. This was supposed to be get your girlfriends, get yourself, and give yourself permission to go just be. And that looks very different for
It
everybody.
does. It
So,
really does. It really does. Well, you guys did an immaculate job
well, thank you.
pulling off the first conference. I know it was a huge investment of time and
Yeah.
resources for you, but the women that were there just had a fabulous time. And like I know, like even like just my small little ripple in my little dent in Arkansas, like I have like carloads of women ready to go. Like we have it on our calendar for our company. And I'm like, we can't do that. That's NYMC conference
I love it.
weekend.
I love it.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's so exciting. And I know that it's a conference that you have a really big vision for. But I know for our listeners, one of the things that we really dig into in the podcast is how did you get to where you are? So, like,
Mm,
you have built something amazing with the Open Championship Series in a collaboration with other industry professionals. You're
sure.
now building your next big baby, which is just, I'm so proud of and so amazing.
Thank
And I
you.
feel like I'm a part of it, even though it's
What?
not mine. And
No, you're
I feel like everyone that was there feels like they're a part of it. And that was what was so crazy, because it wasn't like we went to a conference and got something done to us. We went
right.
to a conference and became part of the story.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it was
Yes.
really, really
Oh,
cool. But like, so before that, Heidi growing up, Heidi's
yeah.
career before, how did you get to this point? Because I know so many of my listeners are women. I do have some men listeners, but it's a lot of women. And they're all, as women, we are always like, we loved, well, I shouldn't say all women, but the women I surround myself with, and I know you do too, are women who love other stories of women
Yeah.
empowerment and the things, how they've gotten to where they are. So what did younger Heidi look like?
I mean, I was very, from a young age, like I was very high energy, loved, played lots of sports, did musicals, had a lot of just real bubbly, if you know the Enneagram, I'm a 7, 8. So like,
Oh, wow. You are
yeah,
a 7. That makes so much sense now. It's
yeah,
like fun, fun. I'm here for fun.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And, I was always like just a little bit different, I think, like in the way that I saw the world. And so, there were just things from a very young age that, for whatever reason, you want to say like maybe this is just the way God made me or whatever, but I had a different like worldview perspective. And so I always like saw like how to make things a little bit better, I guess, or like things I would enjoy or whatever. And so even at a young age, I was constantly like working in collaborations with people, whether it was like, like some type of student, participation, or if it was sports or whatever. So it's really funny. I'm going to be 44 in about a month, and looking back, like when you start like trekking back, you realize all your experiences like just build upon themselves to get
Yes,
you
like
where you need
I
to
say
be.
everything that has happened in
Yeah.
my life has led to this moment,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
It's
Yeah.
it's very real. And, of course, like when I was younger, so kind of back to my story, it's funny. I only cheered for 1 year. So I
Oh,
cheered,
wow.
and that was in the 90s. And I mean, if you are my age, you can imagine cheerleading has progressed like exponentially from 1996 when I was in, high school
Yeah.
versus today. So very different. But I graduated high school early. So I left after my sophomore year of high school. I tested out and I went to college after my sophomore year of high school. So my path of doing things
Wow.
outside the norm started really young for me. I had a lot of people from a very young age that struggled with me doing things differently. So you can imagine I was a sophomore in high school at 16 years old. I go to my teachers and I'm like, hey, I'm going to peace out. I'm going to go to college. I'm testing out. And I grew up in Southern California. So they have some different uh, processes out there. You test out if you're under 18. Well, I lived in a world at 16 where people are like, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. You're making mistakes. Don't be different. And so from a very early age, I learned that my path was just very different from everybody else's. So
I love
I went on,
that.
yeah, I went on to college. I actually went to Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Went to school out here. It was a private college and, came from Southern California to
I'm
Tulsa,
gonna say,
America.
what that was like culture shock to Middle
Very
America,
good.
right?
I had some friends that had gone to school there and gone to visit. And so to me, it was just like, oh, I can relate to these people. I like what college feels like. Well, I think I'll go there, and looking back on that now, so if my children, my 15-year-old came to me now and said, hey, I think I'd like to go to college halfway across the country. I would definitely be like, I don't, do you know how to tie your shoes properly? Like, are we even like, in a
Can you
place
do
where
laundry? Yeah. Can you do laundry? Can you do all the things? Yeah.
do you know what our address is? Like, I mean, I think it would be something that I would go, what? And she didn't even skip a beat. She said she's told me later, that she knew this was a part of my story and who I was supposed to be. And so, I was very fortunate to have a mother who supported the idea of a what I'll call now at almost 44 a non-traditional life. And
Yeah.
so
Now, did you have to emancipate to go to college early or
yeah,
no?
we
No,
didn't.
you didn't have to. Okay.
I don't know how it would work in today's, systems with the collegiate, requirements, but Oral Roberts is a private university, so they have a little bit
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
regulations as to who they can accept and how they can accept things. So, um, I was able to start as a freshman and kind of just move into the dorms and do all those things, and did that
And
at
so
six.
how was your experience being so far away from family in Southern California?
I mean, it was difficult. There were times where no matter what your maturity or intelligence level, like your EQ capabilities at 16 are what they are. I mean, I had a hard time many times. I mean, you know, emotionally being able to handle what I was doing, but I had back then a landline and a calling card that I could call home and
Oh,
kind
a
of get.
calling card. I haven't heard of a calling card. I totally forgot about those.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
epic. Oh,
yeah,
yeah, that's good. A
yeah.
calling card, Heidi. Oh,
And
I love
yes,
it.
and my mom was really good to because I did leave early. I had friends that were still in school, in high school. And so there were a couple things that came up, stuff that I would have missed, like a prom or whatever. And she helped me get back to do that kind of stuff. And then I didn't really have to miss out on
I
everything.
love
So,
that. I love
yeah.
that. So what happened after college?
So
What was
after
Heidi's
college,
story after
I moved
college?
back. Yeah. Yeah. Moved back to California. I ended up finishing my degree in Southern California and, kind of did so here I went from this like real non-traditional path and then I kind of jumped into what I'll call the traditional path that is kind of available for all of us and it's the path that everybody thinks is what you're supposed to do, right? I
Yeah.
got a job, I got married, I started working full time, and then ultimately ended up moving to back to Oklahoma. Felt really strongly led to be back here, and which is funny because I love living in Oklahoma. I tell people all the time I'm
Are
very,
you in Oklahoma now?
yeah, I've lived
Okay.
here
Yeah.
for over 20 years, and I love it here. But when I first moved here, I was like, what? I never want to go back to that place. Growing up in Southern California with Disneyland and all of the bells and whistles and the beach and all that, but I wouldn't trade my home life here in Oklahoma for anything. So, it's funny because we don't always know what's best for us, do we?
That's
So
right. That's right. And so now you're divorced, right?
I am divorced.
And
Yes.
how long ago did you get divorced?
It's been about three, almost right up on 3 years, so just
Yeah.
shy of
Yeah.
3 years. Yeah. So, spent about 21 years, with my first husband. So it was obviously a big part of my adult life. So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've been divorced 3 times. A lot of people
yeah,
don't know that about me. I was divorced 3 times in my 20s. And, so I've been there and, I think 56% of America or something
yeah,
like that or now
yeah,
is divorced. And so I think so many people can relate to this is what I was supposed to do. Like I got married at 22 right out of college and,
right.
all the things. And that didn't make him a bad person, but I was
Oh,
not ready to be married. I
right.
like didn't even know me. It was, so it's just it's a if there's anything I could tell those young girls coming out of college is there is no supposed to.
Yes, yes,
There is no supposed to. Like
yeah,
you can forge your own path, whatever that looks like, and you don't have to
absolutely.
rush in anything because you think you're a certain age or you're getting wedding invites from everyone else.
Yes, yes,
It's
very true.
which is so huge. I sat down at a little wedding shower of one of my former athletes, former
Hmm.
coaches that worked for us the other day, and there was another young girl there, and she was in college, and she's like 25, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm not dating anybody. I'm not ready for all that." And I'm like, good for you. I wish I could have told my
Yes,
25-year-old self that.
right.
Like that's
Absolutely.
so, so good. The things we learn now, like you say, like they all lead up to where we are. So at what point did you quit being full-time Heidi and now I'm working for myself, Heidi? Like when did that happen?
Um, it kind of happened fairly early on. I always had some kind of side gig or,
Mhm.
little thing that I was doing. I can look back now and see. I think like the first thing I ever really tried on my own was like I think it was a cookie Lee jewelry, and it was like a little MLM, and it had, you did
Oh,
the little parties, and I was probably like, I don't know, 23 years old or something, young, 22 years
yeah.
old. I did the little parties and the booths and stuff. But, you know, that laid a foundation for me to know that I loved business, that I wanted to, have an opportunity to do things on my own and not necessarily um, stay in a corporate environment. I had taught for a couple years, which is how I ended up getting into coaching and cheerleading. If you enter a school and you have any
Yes. Yeah.
capability of doing anything outside of
You're it.
you're it. You don't have to ask. You can just say, "Hey, I cheered," and then you're somehow the cheer coach. So
Coach, yes.
yeah. And so I stayed teaching for just a minute. I came in about half year and then did another year, and then I left to go work in corporate. I worked for Farmers Insurance in their corporate office, but alongside that, I was coaching, and so I was always had something that was
This
my
other
own thing.
thing. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
love that.
yeah, and you can relate because of being a business owner, and then as well as like on the passion project side, where I believe cheerleading, most people that own a business in relation to cheerleading have a passion in some form or
Mhm.
fashion from their past or their own experiences. Imagine the surprise of my boss who's corporate America, and I'm walking in going at 24, 25 years old, and I'm like you know the up and coming person in this office at the time, and I'm like, yeah, this was great, but like I'm gonna go run a cheerleading program, and I'm leaving now to go be like this cheer person, and the guy's just looking at
And
me
they're like,
like,
"What?"
what? And they're like, and I did
Yes.
well for myself at that age and experience level. I was doing well, and I was really. It's funny because if you're sensitive to where you're really drawn to be, none of the things that should matter. Like I was financially doing well. I was on a trajectory. If I would have stayed in that profession, to continue to rise up within that ladder. There were already opportunities that were in a very short period of time presenting themselves. So like you could see
Right.
this plan that could roll out, but I leaned into where I was being pulled and what I was being drawn to. And I
That's
leaned
good.
into, even at a young age, recognizing that peace inside of me. And I think one of the biggest things, fast forwarding to Not Your Mama's conference, one of the biggest pieces of this is reminding people that lives in every single one of us. I mean, it
Man,
has
doesn't it?
from the beginning of your life, but we all do things at times to repress it or to shut it down or shut it up or put it aside. And so for whatever reason and whatever time we live in, this conference and this need to return back, and especially for women, and we can go into a million reasons why, whether it's motherhood or career or being a significant other. I mean, there are so many things that pull women in so many directions that piece just gets lost many, many
It
times. And so
does.
I think this timing is not accidental. There's a reason that it needs to be put out there, and a reminder that it's okay to go wake that piece back up again, or just nourish it, or push into it more, because everybody's in different places. But that's really how I ended up on what we'll say is on my own and more of an
Yeah.
entrepreneurial world, because I left comfort for discomfort. I left known for unknown.
For unknown.
And that's hard to do, but once you've done it, you can repeat that if you choose to.
Well, I tell
So
everyone, I'm like, I'll bet on myself any day.
every time,
You know what I
every time.
mean?
Yep.
So you were mentioning about like leaving your big girl job. I was
Yeah.
29 and I turned in my resignation in January that I would be concluding my teaching career in June 15,
Sure.
2015.
Yeah.
And one of my friends' husbands is an accountant. And
Mm,
he told her, he said, this is the biggest mistake
mm,
that she's ever going to make.
mm.
And now I'm like, hmm, what you
Challenge
got to say
accepted.
about that now? Yeah, you know what I mean? But different perspective, safe
Yeah,
career, safe mindset. From accounting perspective, it didn't make sense. If I had asked any accountant, I'm sure they would have said no. But like
absolutely.
I leaned into what I knew, the universe, what I knew God was calling me to do, like what
Yeah.
I knew and went for it. And I think that's so huge. So, okay, so I want to hear more about the conference and the
Okay.
plans for this year. But
Okay.
before we do that, we're going to jump into my favorite segment on the podcast called Trivia in the Trenches. So I'm
Okay.
going to ask you a question and see if I can see if you know the answers. Hashtag
Okay.
see if I can stump you, right? Okay. Are you
So
ready?
I don't
All
know
right.
how hard
What
it'll be.
and what? Yeah, right. I know. I always pick these random and they never have anything to do with the topic ever. Like it's always just random. But I look through trivia and I'm like, that one happens it. Okay. So what country do children trick or treat for Easter?
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I don't know, like
Guess. You gotta guess.
Norway or
Oh
something.
my God, you're so close. It's Sweden.
I was
That's
gonna
so
say
close. I feel
it's gotta be up by like, yeah.
yeah, it's Sweden. And they also do it in Finland purportedly too. But it's
Okay.
Easter tradition for children to dress as witches, old
Oh.
women and old men, and go door to door trick or treating, like the tradition of Halloween on
Yeah.
Maundy Thursday, which is the day
Yes.
before Holy Saturday, like Ash
Okay.
Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah,
Yes.
yep, yep, yep. There, well, no,
Okay.
and so anyway, yeah, very interesting. You needed to know that in life. Okay,
I
so
did.
let's jump back in talking about the conference. So I first
Okay.
want to talk about the swag.
Yes.
So something that was epic about the conference. So I've got some of my stickers here. So I
Yeah.
keep putting them on my planners and I have these in my desk all the time. But I came home with all this cool swag. And the
Yeah.
stickers are just what I have right here. But like you gave away so many cool gifts. Like it was just like the element of surprise was so fun.
Yeah.
We would be in the conference and then it was like, time out, champagne party, or like time out, who wants a hair clippy or whatever the newest, coolest
Yeah.
thing was, and like your energy was so infectious with the whole
Yeah.
team that was there running the conference. So
Yeah.
last year's was in Southern California, but for 24, it's going to be in Dallas. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
tell
It's
us
in,
a little for Dallas or Fort Worth? Did I say that wrong?
Fort Worth,
Fort
but
Worth. Okay,
for
yeah,
those who
yeah.
are not
I'm
familiar,
generalizing like
yeah,
DFW Airport,
Dallas
right?
Fort
So
Worth,
Fort,
we'll
yeah,
call it that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's going to be in Fort Worth. So you're moving it to the south, which I think is awesome. I'm super excited. So tell us a little bit about what the plans are for the conference for 2024.
yeah. So I think if you did attend, you can expect surprises. There's always going to be surprises.
Yay!
So that's one of the things that life becomes very predictable. We do the same things, we drive the same places, we go to the same stuff. And, when we have the opportunity to bring excitement and surprises and all that, like it's huge for me. Like it's very fulfilling. So expect all of that. We are going to Fort Worth. We're really excited about the property that we're working with. It's a really cool, older, kind of redone, boutique style
Ooh.
downtown Fort Worth. And people that aren't super familiar with the Dallas Fort Worth area, Dallas is this like major metropolis, like obviously like super high, tall buildings. But then you go into Fort Worth and you kind of have this like old Southern kind of Texan feel that has more of they have the stockyards there. So we're not saying like it's for the cowgirls by any means, but we're going to have a
But it's
lot of fun
quaint.
that
A little more
has.
quaint, which I think, the property we stayed at in Southern California was huge, but it was
Yes.
so quaint and personal,
Yes.
which I
Yeah.
thought was awesome.
Yes. And
It was
this
great.
property has, and we'll be kind of marketing this soon, but we had a really great opportunity. They have a rooftop bar slash party venue
Ooh,
that we
yeah.
participate in. They have a great outdoor facility. And then there's just some really cool, and I won't give away all this stuff, but there's some really cool activities that we get to participate in that are within like a block of walking distance as a group. And so
Oh,
we
fun.
will lean into the theme of having um, that kind of Texan feel.
All right. So we had a Barbie party last time. Are we going to have a cowgirl party this time?
Yeah, so I don't know the exact name of the party just yet, but it definitely will be a Texan cowgirl type theme. And you can imagine the surprises that will be associated with
I
that type of
know. I
party.
feel like I want to see a
Yeah,
lasso
yeah,
contest, like on a little sawhorse or
yeah.
something. That'll be so fun.
Well,
So we know there's going to be surprises. We know there's going to be fun. I can guarantee you that. And for anybody, I know you guys got lots of footage from last year's
yeah,
conference. So I know that people that are interested will be able to go like to the Facebook page and look at the footage and all that stuff. But like, let's talk a little bit about the content. Like, what
sure.
kind of content are? Because last year we had, I think, 5 speakers. They were all
Right.
so different, all
Mhm.
told immensely different stories, which was really
Yes.
cool. Are you going for that same kind of format this year? Are you going keynote? Like, what are you thinking?
No, we're going to keep with the same type of format. It's kind of the core value right now, or one of the core values of the conference. It's really important to me that we never become super speaker heavy, but really
Yeah.
create experiential participation. So it's easy to get, and there are amazing speakers out there, but it's easy to get caught up in like listening to session after session after session of people with phenomenal experiences. But this has always been meant to be and will stay as being inclusive to the whole experience. If it's just the speaker, speaking to the crowd, there's less interaction. It was very purposefully done to create limited time on the speakers, which it's a task to give somebody like, look, you got 30 minutes from the time you step on the stage till you exit to accomplish
Mm-hmm.
everything you want to do, and that's including your little intro and your I mean, so that's not much time. But
Right.
when the right people are chosen to present their story to tell, or their what they feel, and what I asked our speakers to do, and you can speak to this, what are
Yeah.
you led to share? Like, what do you feel led to share? You're not here to solve the world's problems for the women who attend this. You're here to impart your experience. And my belief is that everyone can gain from hearing others' experiences. And so
Yes.
I'm going to stick with that. And I know it was placed on my heart to really stay focused on that. And it's hard. I mean, we've had so many people that have reached out about wanting to speak. And it's not that they're not excellent speakers, but we can't pick everybody every year. And
No.
we're not here to do trainings. Like this, it won't ever be a training conference. This is a very personal, raw, real, almost like you know what you want to talk about, but there's room in there to maybe add or take away based on the feel and the vibe of the room. I mean, and I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
that's really important. So that I don't see that changing anytime soon. We have a couple speakers that returning that are good. No, but we have a couple people obviously that have were with us previously that have expressed interest in wanting to come back, and I think that's great. But
Yeah.
we'll have some new speakers. Definitely always want to have a mental health component as well. Acceptance on,
Yeah.
and we were very fortunate to have a very qualified mental health professional speak, and it was very powerful. That session was extremely powerful.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you
Um,
something I posted about on Facebook yesterday and I got no comments.
mm,
And then I posted it in a women's group that's local to here that has like 30,000 women in it. And like everyone comments on everybody's posts. Like it's just
sure,
insanely
sure.
engaged. And I got one comment and like it's been almost 24 hours. And the question I posted was this. So my HR director and I are working on adding some mental health support into like our staff training, or not training, but benefits,
Yeah,
because
sure.
there's so many missed days from work and strains on, and we are a heavy female employed company. We have men, but we're like 70-80% females.
Yeah.
And so, how can we best support our staff in their mental health? And so, the question I posted was, "Hey, I'm looking for some larger companies or more experienced businesses, organizations. What are your companies doing?"
Nothing. Crickets.
Crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets, girl. And I get comments like out the wazoo when I ask questions about other companies because
Sure.
people aren't doing anything. And I don't know
Yeah.
if it's because they don't know what to do, because that's where I'm at. We're trying to figure out what are the best. Do we want to bring in IV drips? Do we want to bring in massages?
Yeah.
Do we want to
Yeah.
do training with our management so that they know how to best be sensitive, responsive, open to those kind of conversations, like kind of talking about all those things. But I really feel like there's just not enough of it out there.
Yeah.
So I think that that's really good piece to keep in the conference for women,
Yeah.
because people that are our age, I'll be 40 this year.
Yeah.
And so you and I were talking about hormones and all the things
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
all the life changes, but like we weren't raised as the 20-year-olds are now, where people were talking about mental health when we were
No.
20. No one was
No.
talking about that then. And I love that the conversation's there, but now as the leadership, it's like figuring out how to foster that, train your people, and then like
Yeah.
be responsive and be like a resource of support, not somebody who's like trying to shame somebody for mental
Right.
health concerns, right?
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think that'll be really, really good. So okay, so I have some more questions for you
Okay.
personally that I want to ask, but before I do that,
Sure.
because I don't want to jump off and miss this part, if people are interested in the conference, what's the best way they can keep up with like the
Sure.
launches? Because like
Yeah.
you're the queen of teasers, and
Yeah.
so like you like to drop
I'm
little
really
nuggets that keep
good.
everybody
Yes.
watching, and I love it. I'm like reloading, like Friday 7 o'clock, I'm there, like looking, So like,
Yeah.
what is the best way for them to keep up with the conference and everything that's
Um,
happening?
so there's a couple ways. I mean, obviously we have our website, notyourmamasconference.com, but then
Yeah,
on
yeah,
social media, you can follow on Instagram. But the best way really is to go follow the Facebook group or page and then go follow the group. And we're
yes,
actually getting ready to launch some new options for attendees and people who love the concept and the product. We're going to have Facebook Facebook groups that are led regionally by women in those areas so that people can join
awesome,
that local group and they'll get all the information brought to them, but then also have connections with people. So let's say maybe you don't have two or three girlfriends that want to come with you, but you've now met people within your area that are going to travel.
yeah,
And then you already have those people. So very excited about that. And we have some really cool referral programs that are going to come out. So if you can refer friends to come, you can get your trip
yes.
free and
I
things like that.
also think that, and being in the cheer world, I know this is not news to you, but we definitely should have some swag that we could purchase because
Yes,
it's
we were
becoming
just
a
talking
brand.
about that.
It's
We were just
becoming a
talking.
brand, and not that you asked for business advice, but it's like a thing. And
No.
I'm telling you, every
Yeah,
woman that attends this conference, they're going, and I've been to like faith-based conferences, I've been
yeah,
to
sure,
retreats, there's
sure.
something very special they're cultivating. So
Yeah,
they'll follow on Facebook, join the Facebook groups, and
yeah.
that's where they'll see all the information. Okay.
Yes,
So,
and what do you
questions.
swag for sure. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and swag, and
Yeah.
swag. I need a
Yeah.
little Shopify shop so I can go in and
That's
buy my
right.
swag,
That's right.
right?
That's
Because
right.
all us women like to be showing up in the same shirt and doing all the
That's right.
things, you
That's
know?
right.
I love it. I love it.
I love it.
So, what's next for you, like, personally? Like, you've got these professional things going on, but I'm a
Sure.
firm believer there's so many more aspects of our life, right? Our relationships, our hobbies, our spiritual life, like, our working on our mind, our body, our
Sure.
spirit, what's next for you that's not work?
Yeah. So I've been spending, and I I go to therapy. I've always gone to therapy for as long as I can remember. So again, back to that mental health, I try really to make it a priority to have those weekly interactions. But I've really realized just with age and time and high stress work environment, consistently big
Right.
projects,
Yeah.
and I've been really taking time to like start putting into my life like more purposeful self-care. Like I started some, it's called some somatic yoga, and I believe is how you say
Oh,
it. Poses that help release trauma in your body so that you can like
love
really,
that.
yeah. So I'm incorporating a lot more peaceful type processes. I've probably experienced in the last 5 years like the top most stressful things that you could possibly, like if you put the list together, and they've all happened
Divorce,
to me.
COVID, like
Yes.
starting
Uh,
launching the
or an event.
largest cheerleading.
Yeah. And people don't understand like that event grew 300% and then another 30%. So within 2 years, it was yeah, the exponential growth was insane. And we're very well employed now and staffed, but the beginning of that was like 5 people, or 3 people maybe even,
Yeah, and the
so
3 words, Orlando Convention Center, like,
yeah.
if anyone's been there, they already know. Like, it's
Yeah.
literally, like, impossibly big. Like, you can't even,
Yes.
like, fathom how big it is. It's just streets
Yeah.
and blocks and all the things, and just to
Yes.
have an
Yeah.
event there in the first place is
Yes.
insane. So, alright, so
Yeah.
somatic yoga.
So I've added that, and then continuing with the therapy. And then because of what I have done for the last handful of years, I've been not able to be as home as much as I would have liked to with the kids and things because of the travel with what we do. And so um, I put a lot of energy over the last year into hiring more staff to replace me on the some of the travel and
It's
the
good,
in.
yeah.
That's really important to me, is to spend time with the kids. My kids are teenager age. And so really going back to when they were little, I ran my businesses while they were on nap time. I
Yeah,
buckled them into
yeah.
my Moby and I took them everywhere with me. And then there was that point where they were in school and, you could work and do things on kind of a more consistent 40-hour week. But with the travel and all of that, I realized like there's only these like handful of years left where they're most likely under my roof. So I want to go back. So that's personally where I'm at. Um, it's
I
funny
love that.
because I love, like, I'm working from home today. It's not easy for me to work at home, if I'm being honest. But I used to be in the office, the legit office, and we still have those physical offices, all the time. But now I'm finding peace and calmness with work balance at home, which is crazy to me because I never used to be able to do that. If I was at home working, I wasn't present. And I've learned how now to like shut the computer off and be okay when I'm at home. So really kind of focusing on, I have a wonderful partner. Like right now, he's amazing, treats me fantastic, and
I
focusing
love
on
that.
that relationship, my children, some of the more personal things that lost a little bit of attention because I was so, I mean, there's only so many hours in a day. So
All right, so I have one question I ask all my guests at the end of our interviews, but before I ask it to you, I want to see, is there anything else you wanted to share or talk about that we didn't cover today?
no, I think we covered a lot of stuff, and I think I would like to say thank you for having me on, and letting me
Yes,
have
it's been
a place
fun.
to talk about all these things. And it's we've known each other a very short time, but having relationships and friendships based in like mindedness is such a
It
huge
is.
capacity for.
It's a
So thank you
gift. I feel
for
like
that.
it's a
Thank
gift the
you.
world gives you of
Yeah,
like, yeah, like I don't even have to tell her. She gets it.
that's right. She already knows,
You
and
know
she
what
can
I mean? Like,
laugh at my misery and my joy.
yes, yes. I love that. I love that. Okay. So the one question I ask all my guests is what is one thing that you've always wanted to do, but you haven't done yet?
Um, so this is like kind of silly, but I've always wanted to do. Have you seen that show, the lip sync battle or whatever? Where like,
No, no. Oh my gosh, this is epic. So like karaoke, but you're not saying the words.
yeah, and it's like, there's a couple of them. There's one that's like LL Cool J does, and they do like they compete against each other, and it's actually celebrities that do this, but I
Oh, I
think
love
Jimmy
it.
does one too. But I've always, every time I see that, I'm like, I'm doing that someday. Like that's going to be the
You
best
should
thing.
put a lip sync battle like
We
in
should
like a
do it at the
cocktail
conference.
hour at the conference.
Such a great idea.
Yes. Yes,
Yes,
like you
love
and
it.
Jill up there would be doing the
Yeah,
thing. Like, you know what I
that's
mean? Like it
right.
would be
That's a
even if it's not
great
like a
idea.
breakout session, but like just
Yes,
like an intro into cocktail hour or something.
yes,
Yes, that would
yes.
be fantastic. I
I
love it.
think that's a
I
winner.
love
I think
that.
we can
That's
do that.
it.
Yeah,
That
I
is
think we'll do
it.
that.
Yes.
So,
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been
thank
so
you.
much fun. And I know I'll have you on back again and we'll be talking
Okay,
about those sold out graphics and how
okay,
many cities
good.
that we're in now and all the things.
You're
I can't
great.
wait. I'm so proud of you. Not only
Thank
I've been,
you.
blessed to see the open grow and I didn't know you
Yeah,
then as you
sure,
guys were growing that program. I was
sure.
a first year participant, like huge
Yeah,
supporter. We were very excited to be independent. We
yeah,
love that from a gym perspective. And so
sure.
we've seen the hard work that's gone in there. And then to experience a relationship with you on the life level has been even better,
Well, thank
just getting
you.
to know you on a personal level.
Samesies.
So I know it's not easy, but girl, keep doing it. Keep
Thank
doing the
you.
thing. Like
Appreciate it.
you are doing it. You're making a
Yeah.
big difference. So until next time,
Thank you.
thanks for listening to the Grit Crusade. I'm Brooke Plack. Join me again next week on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. This podcast is produced by ClintonCreative.com.